without further ado, I think we can just dive into the conversation. And we truly appreciate your participation and the perspectives definitely you're going to bring into this conversation as well. And we believe and hope that we all will get benefited from this conversation. And as a moderator, I had briefed to them saying that let's just have a very candid conversation, a conversation that does not have any filter, but conversation that is filled with sharing your hearts and speaking up your mind, rather than just stifling yourself or preventing yourself from saying what you want to say, and for reasons like the political correctness. So today we will shed all of that aside, and we will have a beautiful conversation. I'm sure it will benefit all of us. And I want to hear from everyone. Since the formation of the High Power Committee, I would like to also understand what is your view on, and what have you been speculating about it, and how that can really help resolve this unfairness that you have been calling out in the last few weeks, or rather a month. So I would give this time to everyone, but I think we have a time for individual speeches as well, right? So my assumption was that speakers will take their own time first to give a introductory remark, and after that we'll jump into the conversation. So I will give first time to Mr. Nikitu Iragu to take his time and give an introductory remark to begin this conversation.
Thank you, Moderator Ransom. I would like to say that I want to build on this point, that our problems, our difficulties, and our conflicts are meant to change us and take us forward, instead of fragmenting us, make us hate one another, and destroy us. I hope what I'm saying will have some connection with what is going to be discussed today. This public dialogue has emerged from the protests conducted by CTAN and NNQF. They have done the right thing, calling for and challenging the public, especially today's Nagas, to come today to ask, listen, and speak on the issues, as only by doing so, by responsible persons like you, the future will be shaped. I appreciate the invitation to participate in this dialogue. I am honored. Although probably all of you will understandably be certainly asking why someone going beyond the octogenarian age group should at all be at such an event as this one today. I won't blame you. The prolonged protest showed there is deep concern, frustration, bitterness, and outraged anger, but also belief in a better future in those who conducted the most demanding, costly protests, and equally in those who questioned and opposed it, as we know. I think that is a note to all of us. Both sides are serving a vital purpose for the difficult growth of our young society. We human beings are not created to breathe physically only. We should understand what all of us have felt and expressed over the problems of the protest, to be our people mentally, spiritually, ethically, politically breathing. Because by this other breathing that comes from our brain, mind, our heart, our conscience and soul deep down, they go together. human beings and societies grow fully and properly. I'd like to request for that, those four things to be involved together in such a struggle, to be taken and considered. I have not grasped the many interlinked details of the problems that have accumulated so dangerously and which have brought about this public initiative by the younger generation. But I believe the central critical issue on which all sides who have been damaged in different ways, as understood by them, this side or that side, all sides who have been damaged in different ways. And there is the urgent, imperative need for our government and society to bring into unchallengeable practice and adherence what is called due process, something all of us know. But I would like to focus on that one. Due process ultimately is where both sides are trying to make their point. And that's very important. Due process is whereby justice and fairness for all are seen to be achieved in the governance and development of society. Our problems, difficulties, differences are our commonwealth, our asset. They are part of God's plan for our growth through our change, our understanding of the crisis that is we're in the midst of, imperiling us. All fight for justice like this and progress gets to be more and more difficult. At first, simple as we all know, Naga struggle, for example, it is so exciting and it seems to be, we become euphoric. But because we are struggling in a very, very bad world that has been bad for centuries and centuries, on a big scale, we are only a tiny part of that, it gets to be more and more difficult. And you know better than I how more and more difficult it has become for all of you. But I salute you for taking it up and responding on such a scale and showing enthusiasm. Thank you, the great rising generation of the Nagas.
I think Mr. Kahuto Chishi can take his time now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for showing up. I was very skeptical when we made this program about the attendance, but I'm so heartened to see all of you again. I think you've all heard of the death by 1,000 cuts. I believe it's a Chinese, it was an early Chinese practice to kill somebody, not outright, but by making small cuts, 1,000 cuts. So Nagaland, we are suffering. We are going to face a death through 1,000 cuts. The protests by our NNQF and CTAN, I've been reading the comments on the various channels that it was broadcast. And you see quite a number of comments saying, what about the forest department? What about this department, that department? You have to understand that this is happening in every aspect of Naga society. Whether you're in the village, whether you're in the town, whether you're educated, whether you're uneducated, whether you're a skilled laborer, whether you're an unskilled laborer, we are facing injustice in every aspect of our lives. And it is not for us. We have to understand that when somebody is facing injustice, we should not sit back and say, it doesn't concern me. Or, hey, what about my case? It is high time we realize that if anybody protests, we should all stand together. Because we are all suffering the same injustice in different fields. So I am here today, again, last time I came, I will always be there to support in any way anybody who's facing injustice in any field. And this is something we Nagas must realize. We make all these false analogies with Mizoram. But Mizoram too, they are a nearly homogeneous society. In Nagaland, we have so many tribes, so many clans, so many villages, and we are always being divided on tribal lines, on lines of clan, area, village. We must understand that what is right, what is wrong is wrong. There are no shades of grey. You have to understand that. And I'm very grateful that this is the first time our educated young people have stood for an issue, and I hope that you can bring this, you have managed to bring about the revocation of the appointment, and let us fight together to make sure that the government requisitions these posts to the NPC. Thank you all.
Professor Jiditong, please take your time.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Today, my talk is not exactly listed there, but I want to just give you something on the National Education Policy 2020 and show you where our government is still sleeping, what the government ought to do. We have 17 colleges, government colleges in Nagaland, with about 600 faculties. We've had numerous problems, mostly quality, but some government colleges delivered, they did well, but that system is outdated. In fact, the system got terribly outdated. So this NEP 2020 came in where the curriculum framework was redesigned to include skill education, internships, and research. These are the important components of the NEP 2020. Now, we had a 3-year degree course spread over, 6-semester degree course spread over 3 years. Today, we have the 7th and 8th semester. This means the degree program, this is optional, the 4th semester, the 4th year, the 7th and 8th semesters. Now, the advantage for students of the passing of the 8th semester is that they get to go for do a 1-year master's degree program. And those who have done exceptionally well, who have scored 75 or 80%, I don't remember, some of you will remember, from the 8th semester, they can start a PhD. They can start working for a PhD. So the system has been revamped, it has become very friendly, it has become very forward-looking. So when this is happening, when somebody can go straight for a PhD after the 8th semester, it means that the 7th and 8th semesters have a big component of research. So today, we need faculties who have PhDs as well. It's become very important. So all of you are aspirants. Some of you are working for your PhD, some of you have your PhDs. Those of you are still thinking, better work for it faster. Because even if you get recruited through the NPSC without PhDs, you will require a PhD for future promotions. Now the national gross enrollment ratio of 2020 was 27.3%. Nagaland, it was just 18.7%. That's 8.6% below the national GER. Now, the National Education Policy's target is 50% by 2020. 2035, 10 years from now. But Nagaland, are we prepared? As it is, we are right down in the dumps. Annually, about 10,000 students join the government colleges, are admitted to the government colleges, which is just 30%. That means 70% are going into the private colleges. There's something wrong with the government colleges. We don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough infrastructure. The NEP coverage is very vast. So there are a lot of implementation challenges. It's understood, but there was time. So all the states were expected to expand the infrastructure, increase the manpower. That's basically teaching positions. But it seems Nagaland, we have still been sleeping because besides this 147 posts that were created for a particular category of people, there's no post creation. That means we are very ill prepared, but we have already accepted NEP 2020. So the government has to take responsibility. Now, I've seen another problem which is not related to this, but there is one point where it is related. Reservation of posts for certain backward communities. I'm not against any backward community, but it pinches in one place. Now, there's a government order that says that these posts don't lapse. So that means we have seen some posts that cannot be filled up because there are no qualified candidates for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Government colleges are short of teachers. Every single post for those departments of the colleges matter a lot. The government has to wake up. Something has to be resolved. We cannot keep these pending indefinitely, vacant indefinitely. Now, one good thing with this NEP 2020 is that it encourages institutional autonomy. We have 3 autonomous colleges in Nagaland. The Kohima Science College, the only government college, and 2 private colleges. The government should have been doing much better. Now, this autonomy, the government of India is willing to give to deserving colleges, but there are some requirements. More teachers, more qualified teachers, and the basic infrastructure. We have to improve. Now, this is a very competitive international arena that we are in today. The key to growth is knowledge generation. At the heart of knowledge generation is research. Without research, no knowledge is generated. We cannot compete with anybody outside our territory. The world's top institutions like Harvard University, the MIT, Caltech, Cambridge, Oxford, Yale, Princeton, etc., are basically research universities. They have devoted their time, major chunk of their time for research. So that's why they are right on top. One fine day about a decade back, the government of India woke up to find the first list of the world's top universities that India did not figure in the top 200. Now that was a shock with our IITs, the IIM, and the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. It was a big shock. That time, the thrust in India was 60% classroom academics and 40% for research, because research is an important component. But that woke us up. So then the government of India insists that 60% of our efforts should be on research, only 40% for academics. That's almost 10 years back, and we still have not climbed into the top 200 universities of the world. So the need for today in Nagaland in particular is to upgrade our higher education by blending academics and research, very intensive research. We have to ensure change. So for this, we need sufficient, high-quality teachers. High quality, highly qualified teachers. Otherwise, our students, our own Naga students, are doomed to mediocrity. And it's something we are seeing today. Now, we have some expectations from the government. That is, if the 147 posts are given, I'm still skeptical. Even if the 147 posts come, I still think we may be short of posts, short of teachers. There are 17 government colleges. Now, we expect all the major colleges, that's Dimapur Government College, Fazl Ali College, Zinaboto Government College, and Koima Science College, Koima College, and all to be upgraded. We expect them to start the additional year, the 7th and 8th semesters. Probably Koima Science College has started, I'm not sure. But for that, we need extra teachers, we need extra infrastructure. Now there's a problem. Contracts has miserably, there was too much of manipulation, extensive manipulation, so the government itself abolished contract appointments. But for higher education, we have to see it rationally. When there are shortage of posts, creation of posts take time. Sending a requisition to the NPSC takes time. But in the meantime, departments of the various colleges should not suffer. So we can think of appointing guest faculties for 6 months or for a semester, which can be renewed, but following all the coding procedures, that's advertising openly and inviting them, interviewing them, picking the best. That's what has been happening in the Nagaland University for many years. And then we also expect the government to build up the necessary infrastructure for at least the major colleges. And I don't believe that Nagaland is a failed state, and I hope that Nagaland will never be a failed state. So if that's the case, then I think Nagaland should have at least one multidisciplinary state university. Nagaland government should not shy away. We need it if we are to grow intellectually. They say about 30 or 40 crore rupees is going out of Nagaland annually because many of our students go out for studies. We don't have space for them here. And also we have, as an afterthought, I also put this, we have expectations from the NPSC also. Transparency. I feel there should be transparency and we should ensure there is transparency. Of course, it's definitely the case, maybe the NPSC recruits taking the minimum qualifications. UGC has prescribed NET as a minimum qualification. PhD is not mandatory. But if there are cases where there are PhD candidates with PhDs, preference, some weightage should be given. Because ultimately, we need to develop our our colleges into research institutions. So with this short address, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Mr. Robert M. Solo.
Yes. Hello. Good morning. I hope I'm audible. Okay. The reason why we support CTAN and NNQF is that when we talk to machine law, Paketo, we found that they were not fighting anything for themselves, not for their personal gain. But one very inspiring message we got from them was that what has happened to us, this should not happen to the posterity, to the future generation. That is why today my organizations, we have come forward to support them. We are their staunch supporter. As a matter of fact, today, my ideas may be irrelevant to you because I did my research and a little bit of homework on different colleges, Nagaland, different government colleges, and I wanted to interact with the government officials, which are empty. Those chairs were for the government officials, and then my idea was to interact with them and to learn from them. This is not a government bashing program, as a matter of fact. but to have a healthy discussion, to have a happy discussion. Because, okay, revocation is done, requisition is not done. But even if the requisition is done, the dialogue, the conversation should go beyond that. Unfortunately, today our officials did not come, and I feel sorry for them. Why am I here today? And one question that people ask me, and also they say that, why are you supporting them? One very simple answer I gave to one government official was that I don't want to see our children, I don't want to see my brothers and sisters on the street again. I want them to study, because during the protest, what we saw, some of you came out shouting slogans. At the end, when you get little bit of time, you just go inside, sit on the floor, and then open your books, and you start your work again. So those things we really don't want to. But to the government officials, to the government, I just want to tell them that I don't want to see you on the street, but if they behave like this, when questions were asked, they say that, we will not send for media trial. When they are invited for invitation, they never appear, they never come to us. And to the different organizations, what I want to say is that, because somebody just day before yesterday asked me, what is 147? Then I said, my answer was that 147 is the small tablet, small medicine to heal Nagaland. So if we fail this time, then I don't see any future for Nagaland. I think this battle is very, very important. That is why you have our full support. And even in future, in whatever way we can, we are ready to help you. We are always here to, give you our support. And the need is very much felt now in our society to check our system. System is horribly wrong. One driver molested a girl, arrested, suspended. Rennie Wilfred, he was booked under POCSO Act. Booked, no? The verdict should have been out within 6 months to 1 year. And said he was awarded a better post in the finance department. Aiden, FIR was registered. FIR was registered. Huh? But he called media and then he gave interview at his office chamber again. Is this the system? Are we going to follow this kind of system? Is there a system for rich and poor? So that is why we really need to discuss with the government officials. And the other thing, regarding 147, I think today that is the main topic that we are going to discuss, we are going to focus on it. And then I will give time to my other colleagues also so that we will have more time for discussion. Thank you.
A very good morning to all of you. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for turning up today. And also, I want to say thank you to all the speakers here who has given their time to
come and have a discussion with us. Okay, I won't take much of the time. We discussion time ni. Alo kulim mo na juli. Ekta kyo kulim mo tagaro. See, the order has already been revoked. But the problem is, why is the requisition not being sent? Now, to clarify, we invited the minister, we invited the officials also. We gave a letter to them. So after some days, we went to their office, requested them to come and sit with us. Now, because see, what is black, what is white. So public law also time gibi kile patao na pare. Why is the requisition so difficult to be sent? We wanted them to highlight that to the public. Only they didn't turn up kikuna. Only see just now just recently the NNQF they have filed RTI. We have 2 RTI on the same day. So this is what the department is doing. When the RTI is asking question or about the total sanction posts of assistant professors and librarians, in one of the RTI, the reply is 609. I'm saying, okay, RTI was filed on the same date, Duitabi. So, ekta do 609 as a way, or ekta do 500 something as in that way. Besides, go paro to another. Sanction post was the way. Now, after 2022, they asked for a particular year post creation order kan kita post creation kusi kiman number post kusi itu hudisle 2024 last year 17 December kali atta post create kusi atta post create kusi bisa ko paro do. Me, I'm going to Johnny Julie today. So maybe in the later part we'll discuss more. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you to all speakers for briefly highlighting the issues. Okay, please.
Okay. Since they have already mentioned, discussed about the requisition, I would like to talk about how just as revocation without requisition is incomplete, even if requisition takes place, there are certain concerns regarding the CESC, which makes the exam, certain concerns that makes it questionable with regard to transparency and fair recruitment. And so based on that argument, I want to point out 3 things here. The first thing is with regard to the mark weightage. When it comes to the CESC, the Common Educational Services exam, they have allotted out of the 100 marks, they have 100%. They have allotted 40% to the academic record of the aspirant, and 45% to the written examination, 15% for the interview. Now here the concern is particularly with the 40% that they have allotted to the academic record. Now you will see that there is variation among the aspirants. Some aspirants will fall under the annual system, some under the semester system. Now there's a stark difference in terms of their scoring because of the difference in the system. Then there are also variations across universities. Some universities are very strict with their markings, whereas some universities are lenient with their markings. So based on this 40%, some sections of aspirants are already at a disadvantage, even before they write the exam. Then only 45% according to the written exam, then you have 15%. Now there are, of course, we understand that there has to be a section that is allotted for interview. However, you'll also find that there are disparities again there. When you look at different aspirants, some of them will have like better articulation skills, a wider range of vocabulary, mannerisms, and presentations, that will differ. Now, we are not saying that that is wrong, but there's already an existing disparity in the society, and therefore, in order to narrow down those disparities, I think the interview percentage also has to come down to at least 10% as other examinations. So these are some of the concerns that we have addressed and appealed to the concerned authorities also. And we come to this recommendation that if we are looking for fair recruitment, the authorities should bring down the academic record from 40% to 20%. And as mentioned earlier by Professor Tong, they should give more emphasis on research publication, research experiences, and even teaching experience. Then the interview should be limited to 10%, as in other exams, and the written examination should be increased to 70%. That's our suggestion. These are some of the demands that we have put in one of our petitions. As you go out, you may sign if you agree on this point. Now, the second point that I want to emphasize is with regard to transparency, which has already been mentioned. Now, when the CSE results are out, you only get to know your marks. You can file an RTI, but you can only get to know your marks. You don't know the marks of the person who has cracked the exam. You don't know the marks of the person who is in the waiting list. Now, we're not questioning their competency, but if we are going to push for transparency and fair process of recruitment, then the disclosure of marks of the candidates should be a priority of the authorities. That is another thing that we want to push for. Then the third concern regarding the CSE exam is regarding the allied subject eligibility. Now, UGC Gazette 2018, clause 4.1.1 allows allied subjects to apply for a specific subject. So say, for example, there's a vacant position for sociology. Candidates who have master's degree in social work, social development, social anthropology can apply for that post. Or if there's a post for political science, IR, people with IR master's degree can also apply for that post. However, when inquired, the higher education stated that they do not allow that. It's only for a specific subject. Okay, so that is fine. But the concern arose when they allowed some people from the allied category to give the exam. So it happens that in certain instances, there are two people who studied in the same university, the same subject, one was allowed and one was rejected. So our demand is also that they apply a uniformity. If they're not going to invoke this clause from the UGC that allows allied subjects for uniformity, or if they want to push for a more inclusive form of recruitment, then let there be wider participation by allowing categories from the allied subjects to participate, in the examination. So I'm highlighting these concerns with regard to CSE because since today we're talking about transparency, fair recruitment, and to make sure that there is right to equal opportunity for all the citizens of Nagaland, and for all the aspirants, keeping in mind that there's already a disparity in the society, to make sure that this disparity does not get reproduced in the education system or in the recruitment system, we're sharing this discussion.
I think the issues they have highlighted have been very interesting and mind-provoking. I think it also calls us to dive deeper into all those issues. I think, we don't want to make this sound like a press conference. Rather, we can, have this conversation and objectively reason out, not necessarily supporting each other, but rather we can also see whether we are doing the right thing, whether what we are demanding, we as in, the movement, demanding is objective enough for all of us to continue the movement, right? So, I would like to also understand from the panelists, I would call them panelists. Professor G.D. Tong and some of you have also mentioned about the process of recruitment. And now when we look around the world, the topmost universities, we see that I think for recruitment for assistant professors in the academics, we see that recruitment process is mostly about the research papers that they have published in the past. At the same time, hardly it comes to written exam and hardly it comes down to MCQ exam and so on. I think, but in the context of Nagaland, it's very much still there. I'm not saying that it's bad or good, but I just want to lay out and hear your opinion in such a, academic position is such a reputed and very respected position. I think we all need to keep that in mind, I believe. And for such an important position, how do we look at it? Do you think such exam formats still are valid, or how do we look at in terms of teaching experience would be very, very crucial. Like Dr. Vidya mentioned about 10% for the interviews. I think those subjective matters would be very, very helpful to recruit the best persons, to transfer knowledge, and to help students learn more about the subject rather than being able to write You know, there are many criteria, of course, but one criterion I believe can be teaching experience, vast teaching experience, and the in-depth knowledge about the subject, like how much research papers they have published in through peer-reviewed journals, in those reputed journals. So I think the system that we have right now and the kind of ideal system that we want to achieve. Because I want to mention that even West Bengal they have a selection committee, not done through West Bengal Public Service Commission. They have a separate commission to recruit teachers and assistant professors. And now in the context of Nagaland, what would be the objective way to look at when we recruit teachers? Let's now keep aside for a while that there should be fair recruitment. Fairness, we always encourage that, we always support that. But more than that, how do we objectively look at academics to make sure everyone gets benefited from the teacher, not just by passing written exam, MCQ exam? I mean, that's something I just want to provoke you on that. There's no like assigned turn, but anyone can just take time and we can have that discussion around that as well.
First, tell me something, Dr. Vidya. Do you have this NPSC? Do the aspirants also have to do they have to go through a written test? A written test. So let me tell you about myself. 1984, most of course, except a few senior citizens, none of them were born. When I sat for the NPSC, there was no written test. It was straight to the interviews. Now let me tell you something about the central universities of India. They don't conduct written tests. Now, the minimum qualification is NET, National Eligibility Test. This is a very tough examination. And a lot of people have gone through it. This is a tough written examination. So you don't need to test their written skills again. This is my personal opinion. And we have been recruiting in the Nagaland University for the last 28, 29 years since I was there. We don't conduct written tests. It's just straight for the interviews. The NPSC can come to terms with this. Because it's from the written tests, I always believe that some manipulation can happen. It's just my personal belief. Okay? But things can happen inside.
Regarding what Dr. Thomas said, NET was the basic qualifying test. Because as Dr. Vidya said earlier, these different universities have different forms of marking. So some universities you get very good marks, some you get very bad marks. So there must be a common test which judges your knowledge. And it was just brought to my attention yesterday by one of my young friends who sent me a text saying that the new education policy has eliminated the NET. Huh? No, I don't think it's mandatory. Okay, I checked. So, 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So this is my grouse with the government of Nagaland, with our elected leaders. Any policy that the center initiates, we accept it blindly because we know that they're corrupt. If we kick back a little also, they will come after us. The oil palm. No, the KTP, no? They were against the oil palm cultivation, but we accepted wholesale. Then earlier, when this highway was being built in the Pagla Pahar, we call it, no? Dynamite also, our friend Mr. Robert Solo, they objected to it, the use of dynamite. But our government just allowed them, and look what's happening. Just recently, one truck driver has died again. I think how many deaths have taken place there? So things like this, no? And education is supposed to be in this concurrent list. So where the state has a voice also. So it is very frustrating when our leaders do not fight for the benefit of a society. So I want you to understand that all these affect our future. And all these are means of promoting the self-interest. No? Say, universities in Bihar, UP, you can get 10% marks also. You come with that and you come with thing from a tough university, and automatically you're disqualified. I mean, not disqualified, but automatically you lose your chance of access to employment. So things like this, I don't know how we're going to solve it, but say NPSC, if we have a common test, then you don't have to go through written test in the NPSC, just the interview.
Yes, this has been a discussion even among the aspirants and scholars, and we have also had different opinions on this. But I would differ from Professor Tong here. The problem with many students, when you go to central universities outside, we have a problem in articulation. We're good in written, but we struggle to come on par with our counterparts from other regions across the country. So articulation becomes a problem for many, not for all though. Then in interviews, what happens is DU and other central universities, they go for interview, mainly interview. However, there's also a requirement for referees. So you'll have recommendations from professors. So there's a competition there also. People with good references, it's easier for them to get the job. Whereas people who don't have or have less reputed professors, it's difficult for you to get a job. And then another thing is there is also possibility for manipulation in interviews. The one time we gave an interview for Wang Khao College, I gave the interview. It was a contract advertisement with both my juniors and my seniors. We were all there. It was like a reunion. But finally, when the results came out, all of us were, questioning on what basis, the candidate was selected. So we filed an RTI to check all our marks. So there's a section for subject expertise. There's one for personality. And in personality, there's a difference of, like someone got 12, someone got 30. So what is it that makes that person get 30 for personality? So we feel that written, a higher percentage of written will be more fair rather than the interview. That's our opinion.
Actually, I brought up this because this question paper leak has become is BJP's misery today. Everywhere there are question paper leaks, and the NPSC, ladies and gentlemen, to be very honest, did not have a clean past. In fact, some of the NPSC officials and staff were also arrested in the past, not very distant past. This for leakage of question papers and things like that. So your interviews may be very good, but somebody may score very high at the written examinations. But just a thought, the Supreme Court has also started getting this thing online, their proceedings. So maybe wonder we should also think on those lines. What's so confidential about the NPSC?
Okay. I want to share something about NPSC. Nagaland Public Service Commission is so outdated, okay? See, we got started very long back, so till today, NPSC does not have subject experts. And in the beginning, I thought that NPSC has the sole power. But after so many years of fighting for corruption, what I learned was NPSC is just a robot. When the elected members press button, yes, yes, no, no, they are just implementing bodies. And they themselves also, they don't want to get updated. Our Nagaland is as such that I'm sure most of you knows, all the exams that are conducted under NPSC, we don't have subject experts to set questions for Common Educational Service, Combined Technical Service, NCAs, all those exams, whichever is conducted, questions are set by outsiders. You know that? Puisa diwo, company kumage, question set guna diwo, iningay guna tulisuro. And so from our side, we have requested them to, I think now it's high time that NPSC should be updated. It's high time you should have subject experts in every field because we have enough qualified people. Holy moon, सबसे BI का तो last year भी NPSC website hack हुई है जाने ना नहीं. और अपने अन form fill up करे तब ते hang हो जाए ना NPSC hang हुआ ना नहीं. That is the problem ना मैं ना कथा कोई देखी जुबले I end up माने pointing my fingers at the policy makers. Holy उपाय ना तो. They are the one na. See, policymakers, they're updating only their buildings and their size of plot of land. Update was it? I like to sub third classes. Now, honestly, I don't know when it comes to this marking system. Their marking system, like has interview marks to be manipulation. Association like us, we fight against the government and we brought down the interview mark also. Earlier it was 75, it is 55 in NCS. I'm sure all of you know. Because we didn't trust the interview, that's why we brought it down. Yet marking system was a common educational service exam marking system to take that we feel because kumba university and high marks kumba to mark to confuse example like man engineering and example like my college, it's very difficult to score mark. Now, for common technical exam, they do inai kunai, mal academic and like nothing. Any writing interview, only common education to marking system as well. And now, how can this be changed? Only if the department service rule is changed. And who is going to bring the change? The elected members. And that is the reason I always blame, put my fingers against them. They have to update their mind also.
나갈랜드 하이코트에 자기가 사이시고 일래도 다들 cases 컨대 사도 올래도 more than 90% of the cases are of the service rules. Nagaland High Court cases, more than 90%.
Maybe that's a sign of unemployment. All right, I think we are getting a sense that we have that, we felt that hopelessness that it's a systemic issue, right? Regardless of whatever you do, something or the other will not work. So I think we have been talking about how to make it more objective in the form of competition or the recruitment process. And you have mentioned, Engineer Michello has mentioned that they have been fighting to reduce the interview mark, and they managed to do that a little bit. Still, interview is still very subjective. It's open to interpretation, or it's open to it can lead to manipulation. It's totally based on someone's judgment. I think for that matter, I think for me, to my mind, that's well accepted. Now the point also comes to it's also a big concern for the fact that what if we make it very objective in the sense in the process of recruitment that we end up like recruiting UPSC and BSc aspirants, civil service aspirants. That all. Meantime, I support the idea that yes, we need objectivity in the process of recruitment. But what if we end up like UPSC recruitment style, which becomes more objective, and there's no way it can be disputed in many cases, right? It's very, very objective. There's no much room for misinterpretation or manipulation as such. But what for an academic position, if it comes down to such objectivity, and what if we reduce the quality of teaching? I think that's a concern that I want to raise. I would like to understand and hear from you how you will interpret that. Yes, for now we understand that we have a system problem. The system has to change, and it will take time. But I think at least what you are demanding at this time is requisition, at least it may not be 100% fair and objective, but at least there's a system, and like Uncle Nikitu mentioned that we need to follow the due process, established process. I think requisition should happen by any means. Whether it's clean or not clean, let's forget at the side. But at least that process should be followed for now. But how do we reconcile the idea of maintaining objectivity in the recruitment process at the same time, not degrading the teaching quality? That's a very big concern for me as someone who aspires to become academics as well in that sense.
I'm very heartened that our NNQF and CTN are fighting. But I have no faith in our elected leaders and in our bureaucrats. Now, this is a fact. Now, these people are so dirty, so petty. They have not done these things out of ignorance or out of a mistake. They have done it deliberately. And you have won a very big victory by forcing them to cancel the thing, regularization. But they are never going to requisition it to the NPSC. Now, because I believe that there's rumors floating around that every one of these 147 paid a certain amount of money. Now, so whoever took the money has to give these people time to recover their money. Fact is here. So the only, in spite of my disappointments with the judiciary, the only option is to get the courts to intervene and force them to requisition these posts. Since they can regularize them, why can't they requisition the posts? They cannot say that these are sanctioned posts, non-sanctioned posts, nothing like that. So that is my take on that. No. And regarding NPSC, see, interviews are very subjective. No. My brother, when he appeared the interview in 1982, even their tribalism was very prevalent. So he got into an argument with one of the members of the NPSC, and the chairman, who was a Sikh gentleman, he intervened and told that member, that we are not here to question his knowledge of the subject. That has already been done in the written thing, as I said earlier. No, we're just here to test his personality. So things like that. No, I don't think any of you people didn't bother to read my manifesto when I contested the elections. But in my manifesto, I wrote clearly that in every competitive exam, the candidate will have the right to compare his written answer script with those of others, and every interview will be video recorded. See, one of my young lady friends, she appeared in a social welfare thing, not for a regular job, but for a contracting. They just asked her name and sent her on the way. And in fact, she was told in advance, no point trying for it also. They've already selected people. So things like that, we have to understand. But as I said earlier, I believe our only recourse is legal thing. So, well, if any of you know anybody in the legal fraternity who's willing to take up this case, I've also tried contacting some people. I'm in a process. We'll talk later on. And that is the only order. Because these people I don't trust. Thank you.
I think we have got a lot of trust deficits here. Some not trusting the NPSCs. I think the last resort for this conversation would be going to the court, as Mr. Gaudo Jishi mentioned. I think as we keep having a conversation, I would like to remind you that in the end, we will have a question and answer hour. So if you have any thoughts, or not necessarily questions, but if you have any thoughts that you want to share or ask, please be ready with that. So we will give you time for that. You can write on a sheet and share with us as well. So yeah, please take your time, Uncle.
About these bad people, There's no doubt at all. But I think, I personally feel that if I were in the position, not out of any ill will, I'll do a much worse job. Because everything is new that we're trying to do, and we have very little background resilience. I would say this fellow has a lot of resilience because of his background. We'll discuss that later. But I think that is why so many things are done wrong just because we don't know how to do differently. I feel that we are witnessing a huge thing that has brought together like this. A few years ago, we couldn't get a group like this, especially of young people. Just because I think they were not, I don't know, you know so many things now, and so you're so smart now, I'll honestly say. So well informed because of the information technology, IT, and all that is, you're grasping them and you're benefiting from it. And so such a group, I've never seen a group like this. They're so alert, showing such interest. So I feel that I would like to appeal to all of you that don't give up at all to make this better and better. This process that you are part of, led by this group who have brought it into being, don't leave it to them to work it out. It's going to become very difficult, very difficult. And I don't think you will give up, but I make this special plea. Jean Monnet, he was the international bureaucrat, economist, lawyer and everything, Frenchman. And he was regarded as the man who created the European Union. With Chancellor Adenauer of Germany and Robert Schuman. Chancellor, he was the Prime Minister, and Robert Schuman was the Foreign Minister and Prime Minister eventually of France after the Second World War. It was a terrible time of complete destruction of Europe and the world. And so they said, how do we make sure the Third World War doesn't come? And so it's a long story, but he's thinking, he's far-seeing wisdom, and from his own tested experience of many years, they succeeded in creating what they call the economic and political miracle of the European Union. You get all this in books now. And he said this, this quote is said to be the summing up of all his volumes on all that he did. He said, nothing is possible without people. Nothing is possible without people. Nothing is lasting without institutions. And I feel that what you are doing is the building of institutions to serve our society, but you are the people. Institutions are very important, but the quality of the people who build them decides whether the institution without which nothing is lasting will work. And in that, some may be scientists, some may be doctors, some may be geologists, all kinds. Engineers, everything else that all of us do. In that, each will have to understand that each one is equally responsible. Some may be more glamorous, some may be more talked about, but the role of a guy like me, I can't do anything glamorous like science, engineering, law, nothing like that. But I can listen to the inner guidance. I realized I could only do that. So I decided I'm never going to give it up and keep improving it. I think discover each one of you, what is your role? Because you have a very important role to bring into our history something we've never had. Building of institutions to make our society, enable our society to go into the future. Going to be extremely difficult. I don't need to say that, you know more than I. But I think this is where all that we are discussing will enable us to understand the role each one has to play. Otherwise, we'll see worse things happening. We'll have more bad people coming out doing worse jobs. But I just wanted to add that. I think that perspective has to be kept up. And really, if you were to come and look at you, something very big historic is happening, but we don't know how to go forward. Therefore, don't give it up. Keep developing it. Nagas have never had such an interest from the younger generation.
I would also like to add that corruption, I think it's bigger. It's bigger than what we see. You know, the transition of the Nagas from tradition to modernity. Maybe we have not been able to handle an alien system that has been transferred to us. So when we talk about corruption, of course there are intentional ways to corrupt the system, but there can also be, say, unintentional ways where the system went corrupt. You know, there was a time when our uncles and our fathers will say that there used to be job offers. They used to be called to come for a job. You know, so maybe following that tradition, maybe people were called. You know, people that you know were appointed, and maybe it became, you know, in the modern stage, it became, you know, the corruption that we see now. But we also have to look at it, understanding that it is a transition that maybe we have not been able to handle properly. So corruption can also be seen as intentional as well as unintentional. And regarding the quality of recruitment that we have been discussing, I think if we are able to set the system right, then quality will eventually come by. I think the priority is to set the system right, you know, to continue, not to give up. So as we are able to, you know, structure the system in the way we want, maybe quality will eventually follow.
From the audience, has any questions? No? Oh, we'll be very.
I think, yeah, we will take questions, but we'll, you know, keep the time separated for that. So we can rather instead discuss more on other things. Like, we understand that you all are fighting because you surely believe that it is against the constitutional rights, you know, the Article 16 of the Indian Constitution, equal opportunities in matters related to public employment. I think it looks like this has been now already subjugated because there is no transparency, and when there is no transparency, we realize that, you know, there has been no equal opportunity given to everyone. You know, we haven't started talking about equal outcome, you know. So when you don't get even an equal opportunity, how can we expect equal outcome? So I would like to hear your thoughts, again, I mean, for the benefits of our audience and all of us. You know, it's a daylight violation of the Article 16 of our Constitution, which talks about equal opportunity in matters related to public employment. I think, but the public seems to be not paying much attention. And when you have lost your hope on NBSC, when you have lost your hope in any other government machineries, you know, what solutions do we have to resolve this kind of issues, knowing fully well that it's against and violating the constitutional values of India? So, I mean, it will be nice to listen to all of you on this line as well. You know, what solution do you have? I mean, anyone can take, yeah?
I'll take some time. It was 2020, December, when the lockdown was relaxed. I was invited to speak I was invited by the Northeast Human Rights Network, I believe. Yeah. So they asked me to speak at Guwahati. I went there. There were quite a number of young Naga people also there. So what I said was, Nagaland, when you look at Nagaland from the outside, we have so many tribes. We seem to be divided in many ways, but among the common people, we don't have tribalism. Okay, we accept inter-tribe marriage, all that. It is only when we reach the upper levels that tribalism manifests itself. Why? Because our leaders, you have to understand this, okay? Our leaders, they use tribalism to deprive us of our rights. Among them, they have got a very good system. Give and take. There's no tribalism among them also. But they create tribalism among us. And I said in a normal society, there is the government of the day, there is the civil societies, the church, the organized criminal elements, and the media. Now, our churches, our government, our civil societies are all corrupt. Our underground factions have become the organized criminal element in Nagaland. There's no mafia, but we have multiple mafias in the form of our NNPGs. And our media has become silenced, threatened, or co-opted. So when I said that, all the Nagas, they clapped because they understood. And this is what is happening. We have to understand that we are no longer in the headhunting stage. That we don't have to fear other villagers, people from other villages, people from other clans, people from other tribes. We have to put our faith in the law of the land, not in our tribal bodies or in our village. You come to Dimapur and you will see the amount of unions, the amount of village bodies, the amount of churches. It is shocking. And then we talk about government corruption, we talk about underground extortion, we don't talk about the extortion of the churches. The churches are equally corrupt. So we don't have any moral compass. We have lost moral compass. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. Now, where does this originate from? The origin is in our choice of our leaders. The reason I entered politics was because of this. I understood that the cause of all these problems is our elected leaders. As I said last time in my thing, address to you when you were protesting, I'm a private person. I don't like to go around. You may not believe me when you see me speaking like this, but there was a time when I could not stand in front of people and even open my mouth. But I have become what I am because of the need of the hour. I contested because I understood that this is the root of our problem. There's nobody to fight with them on a platform. All I asked was a platform where they cannot ignore me. They ignore me. Everybody ignores me, okay? I am never invited to any talks. I'm never invited to participate in any discussion on any issue. I once asked one of the members of the Nagaland GB Federation to take me. When the state government invited all these organizations to discuss the thing, municipal election, women's reservation and all that. So that elder, he's an elder to me, he said, Ari, don't you trust me? I said, no, I trust you, but I know you. You will go to Kohima, you will just sit silently while these people say whatever they want. You will come back and they will take your silence as consent. He agreed to take me, but again, I was not informed, I was not thinking, and I'm not the sort of person to press my thing, myself on others. No? So he didn't inform me, I didn't even inquire. But later on, I found out that a leader of a certain underground faction told him not to take me. This is how things work in Nagaland. We're discussing the municipal act, and some underground faction is interfering there because I don't support this faction. Now the church also, the theologians, they hate me. Why? Because I point out what they're doing wrong. No? So you have to understand that there's a saying, no? You may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you. So you have to understand that next time, when you get the opportunity in any field, in any election, I mean, you have to stand for election. Because I understand, you don't have the choice also. This time Kohima people, they had national card choice. I gave them a choice in Dimapur. But the rest, maybe Gewang, Konyak, Imon, 3 of us. But the rest, 57, there was no choice. So you have to be willing to stand for election. It doesn't matter whether you have money or not. Give people a choice. Don't give them the excuse of saying that we had no choice. So that is my contribution.
The CTAN and NNQF have started this, all of you have started a very big movement. You got victory, but that's just half the journey. The 147 posts have not yet been requisitioned. But it is our silence that has been encouraging corruption over the years, over the decades in Nagaland. And Nagaland is one of the smallest states in India, probably is one of the most corrupt. It's because we have elected those kind of leaders. But this movement, through this protest, was a start. Now we see so many young people here. Uncle Nikitu has already mentioned it. Mr. Kauto has already talked of corruption. I can see this movement growing bigger. Maybe in the days to come. T-Square China, it was the students who revolted against the government. Of course, they were massacred. But they showed the world what students' power is. Aspirants, you have your students behind you, you have students behind you, you yourself, some of you yourselves are students. So it's really heartwarming to see so many, but we hope to see this movement growing up in huge proportions, not allowing our government to continue its old ways. We'd like to see a clean, of course, we cannot expect a 100% clean government anywhere. There's corruption everywhere. But we'd like to see a clean government. We'd like to see our state progress. And this can happen only through higher education. Thank you.
When the protests were going on, I saw it in the media. Thanks to all the media partners, they did quite well. But I started to think, what has happened to our civil societies? And then when somebody is fighting for the right thing, then civil societies and the churches, what happened? That question came to my mind. And when I said this reminds me of one of our great friends in Shillong. He said, people are not progressing because most of the bureaucrats or most of the people, they build buildings, but they don't build people. Even for the churches, today I see, I'm sorry, I'm going to attack the churches, like my friend here, he has. You see, I know one person, well-to-do, and very, very smart, very, very good orator. He can articulate very well, beautifully, and one of the richest officers. But we know that he isn't from a very good background, I mean financially, what his father was. But this is the person who donated so much money And then who can approach any minister to donate money, who can collect so much of money. The same person, one day he was a preacher in the church. No, that drama I didn't like. Because the congregation knows that he's a thief. Those who are listening to me, those who came there, they know that he's a thief. His pastor also knows. All the pastors and deacons, they know that he's a thief. Forget about other things. His wife and children, those who are sitting there, they also know that, okay, he's a thief. No? And now he's there knowing that fully well how much he has stolen from the poor people. He is preaching. I think God also may know that he's a thief. No. But we want the church also to do the right thing. Instead of only building the churches. Those buildings are building. The real church is us. We are the real church. The people are the real church, not the building. So I hope that the churches also will come and support CTAN and NNQF.
Okay, this 147 itself is a violation of right to equal opportunity in public employment. This itself is a violation of the Article 16. Now what I want to say is, when the Nagaland government does not follow its own rules, which they have made, how can you expect the NLA to respect the Constitution of India? Not the way. And requisition la parte, I won't agree with our Sir GB. Because by any means it has to go. Requisition jan I will do department no tai jo la galti. Na, man chucha bhule na no. Requisition to jao lagi. Or for us to, of course, Sir Mangi Morong Gana Kwazuli, we don't have money for court case so. Aro court case judge bile government ki court case chilu bile se man hari bile bisi chances ho. Aro kiman sal prolong gana jari ho. Already our Sir GT Tong has already stated that lack of teachers as it was so colleges there. So itu court case kuri tekisi laro kiman sal jawo. So requisition to G uli jawo. Aro kuan isina we have the evidence with us. Of course 100% evidence na uli utu din dikishu to sukura. Earlier though see the minister lied to us 2 times. Mangi convince ko siya alok din kidi man revoke ko diu na duiber jukai siya mangi to ite to bisas nai tagiro personally lok paise na aro revoke ko diu ina ko siya uli kure nai uli man continue protest ko they were compelled to revoke. Now why we are saying that requisition has to go, if there is a post creation, that also for the post of assistant professors. If I am not mistaken, assistant professors can salary to EAC, DSP and UPC. Koi galti hai jo mui correct hui. So ina la post to kali actually the number of posts was 151. Will be 147 though it became popular by himself. And even our minister, he started calling himself 147 to keep Lona. Time jo work was zero. Now requisition has to go. Why we are saying this is earlier the department and the department officials and the ministers were claiming that 151 posts were specially created for those 151 very special people. Okay, that is what they claim. So according to them, if that order is revoked, 151 posts is also dissolved, gone in Aguasuro. They were saying that there is no post creation. Fully, as per the RTI, they are slowly admitting to their mistake. Atta post creation, RTI replies at the Atta post. Kitia, take to regularize Kurela din day, 17 December 2024 day. It was in the Atta create question day. Ututin day tangi regular versus on 147 day. Ututin the Atta post creation, that is what they are saying. 8 posts. But what we saw when we had a meeting with the minister, he was showing me a copy. I requested him whether I can click the picture or not. Really, he didn't allow it. So moi pareto kuda smart pura puru later okay. So what I found was there was a post question of 129 posts. 129 posts. And after that, when we had a meeting with the Deputy Chief Minister also, Deputy Chief Minister and KG Kiling meeting with them, they ex-officio director with Takishe. So when we said that we saw a letter, 129 post question la Takishe, our Deputy CM asked the ex-officio director, she admitted, she agreed. So it has to go to NPSC. But we don't know what we will do. Of course, man, jara tang you fight to na kilo. Ikaw tula zamana na rojuma, but still then we will not keep quiet. Requisition has to go.
The very idea of filing a court case against the backdoor appointment and the protest was the mode of recruitment, and that is because it deprives many people of their right to equal opportunity. Now, here, when we talk about right to equal opportunity, it's not just about when they, when they recruited those contractual employees. Many advertisements did not come out. So in the process, in those years, people whose subjects were not advertised, they became overaged. There were many people who became overaged, and subjects like philosophy, anthropology, they rarely come out. So even if that is, appointed through backdoor or contractual and regularized, then it's not just a deprivation of the right to equal opportunity, but it's also a violation of the rights of the aspirants. Now, if they don't requisition, they've already violated the rights of so many people who have become overaged. But now, if they fail to requisition these posts, they are going to continue violating the rights of the present generation aspirants.
Earlier when I talked about court case, no? I mean somebody doing it for free. I'm not saying that pay them. But I understand, no? That this thing, when I approached the Supreme Court also for the BGP case, I went begging around until somebody did it for free. No? So that's what I'm saying. No, I'm not expecting to spend money. Just a clarification.
Yeah, regarding going to the court, the thing is that once the matter becomes sub judice, then we cannot protest also. And then we don't know when the court will bring its verdict. So I think it's quite risky. No? Once the matter goes to the court, then for us it's no use of sitting and discussing. So we will not have any more thing to discuss about it.
But you see, this, it was a very big success. I said it's only 50%. You managed to get the government to revoke a very bad case. And if the government doesn't requisition these posts to the NPSC, I think the CTAN and NNQF should protest again. And maybe this time you might get more supporters. Because maybe I'm seeing the number of people growing. Everybody is fed up with the antics of the government. So think of a protest. It's a democratic form, it's a democratic right. It's nothing against democracy.
Thank you. Those are very important points of views and practical suggestions as well. I think when we share ideas and interact with one another, normally we think that court case would be the best solution where you can fight in the court. But here are other opposing views that when you take up such issues in the court, definitely the movement can die down and it can die a natural death. There's high chance for that as well, right? So, I mean, that will be decided by the leader, NNQF and CTAN leadership, but the reason for this conversation is to see what can be done best. And I'm sure we're getting the hints of what will be the most practical steps at this moment. Do you also imagine or visualize any other solution in case requisition does not happen? Because you have no trust with government machinery at this point of time at all. So imagining that the requisition does not happen at all, despite the silent and the peaceful protest that you have been holding, and they would not listen. So can it go on like this forever without any time limit? So that, just to complete my point, that would be same as fighting the case in the court, because we're scared that, you know, if you start fighting the case in the court, the time will be gone, and students who need to be taught will always lose their time. But if the protest also keeps on going like this without listening to one another, will it be the same? That's something, you know, let's give a thought on that.
Yeah, by any means, since the movement has started, so by any means, the requisition has to be done. That is one thing. But even if requisition is done, doesn't mean that the battle ends there. You know, the battle don't. The war will still continue. So the government also should know that yes, they saw the sentiments, the emotions of the people, of the children. That time we saw leaders telling them, "Oh, you please go home." No, we will not go. We will not go. The anger did not still come out. But the government should not provoke the anger of the youngsters.
I'm sure we can spend a lot of time interacting with one another. So I think we can just open the, you know, platform for question and answer hour. Just feel free to share your views, even just, you know, ask questions for panels. The problem, let's think about the solution from here now. Factoring the turn of events that occurred since the CTAN and NNQF protest till date, there are 3 questions now. What do we expect from the government? And why, second question, why have mainstream civil society organizations turned a blind eye? And third question, why did the church remain silent? Yeah, we can be careful about church as well. You know, we cannot just paint an umbrella term of the church as well. Yes, of course, there are churches that really support. There are churches that are not really supporting as well. But yeah, let's deal on that question.
What was the first thing? Okay, let me have a look. Okay, as I said earlier, I don't expect anything from the government. It's a fact. Then second is, why have mainstream civil society organizations turned a blind eye? I don't know if my friend Mr. Robert will recall when we met Governor Ravi for the last time. So I was telling our governor that we don't give too much importance to civil societies, especially the tribal bodies, because these people are puppets of the politicians and the bureaucrats. Then I asked Robert, what about your EPO? He says, EPO, Rio says you be president, you be not that. Just in a humorous way. So that is why our civil societies have remained silent. Because they owe their positions to these people in power who you are fighting against. And regarding why did the church remain silent? The church is always silent. My nephew, he's a principal of one of our leading theological colleges. And in his presence, we were discussing something that I said, don't mistake the church for God. Okay, we tend to think that talking ill of the church or the theologians will somehow bring the wrath of God upon us. Just the last time Mr. Lumland and I, we had an interaction on this show. Somebody told me that somebody is writing something. We had it more than 1 month back. But anyway, somebody was still writing something. I went, and somebody had written that I will be cursed or something like that because I speak out against theologians. You know? So we have to understand, we have to pressure our churches. They are the moral compass. That is the duty of the church. It is not to preach on Sundays. I tell my villagers, hey, God is not going to take attendance. He's not going to count how many Sundays you have attended church. He's not going to see how long you pray, how beautifully you sing. He's going to judge you by your deeds. So it's high time we understood that all these are part of each other. They have a symbiotic relationship of corruption. And that is why we have 20, okay, now 4 of them have merged. So we have around 22 freedom fighting groups. Can you imagine? And all of them are connected. During the ULB elections in Zimbabwe, when I was interviewed, I told them, okay, you vote for whoever you want, but don't vote for anyone connected with the undergrounds. I think more than half of them are connected with the undergrounds. Don't vote for anyone who's connected with corrupt officials. The remaining half are connected with, I think, corrupt officials. So, this is what we have to understand. We should not hold any expectation, false expectation on others. It is down to you. You decide. And my suggestion was the legal route. But if you have to go to the protest, I will stand by you. And you have to understand, each and every one of you must stand and be counted. Nobody else is going to help you of your own volition. You have to force them. So, God willing, if you protest loudly and well enough, you will force the government or the churches or the civil societies to die.
Thank you. I'm sure everyone will have opinion on that, but I think, as far as the question is concerned, let's just move on with other question when one panelist responds to that question, right? Yeah,
Can I just
please.
respond? Yeah. I would like to take an opposing view. Here, I would like to say that I think the church has not been silent. They have been quietly moving. I would like to be of that view. Of course, as an organization, they have not been loud enough, but I think they have played their role in, influencing us morally. The fact that we're here fighting for justice. Maybe we remember that there was a time when there was a sermon called to stand up for justice, and then we raised our hand. They've been praying for us. So maybe that commitment also plays a part, and also the fact that there has been sermons in church, individual sermons where they have openly preached for justice. After the protests, fighting our protests, and also there have been contractual employees, who have withdrawn their appointments. And I feel that is also a moral influence played by the church in the family. So I would say that the church is not silent; it is quietly moving, but we would, of course, welcome them to be louder.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
This thought just came to me. The NSF and the various student bodies are also fighting for the same cause. NNQF and the CTAN were also doing the same thing. Of course, NNQF and the CTAN came out openly and started this in a big way. But the NSF also was from behind the scenes doing the same thing. So I was just wondering, maybe there's some case of dynamics, internal dynamics. This couldn't work out. But it would have been such a more powerful body if you all were together. It's just a thought. Okay. And if, I don't know, maybe there's some internal dynamics. But if there's nothing like that, I think, it's not a bad idea to have a mediator working between so that pressure comes together from bigger groups. But I'm leaving it to you because you know what's happening inside. I don't know anything.
Those are good insights. We'll leave that to the NNQF, NSF, and all these leaders. Now, the second question is, when our higher education minister said, backdoor be khodam, window be khodam, ceiling para ahi bole be khodam, how can 5 candidates enter the service in 2025 without even screening as contract teachers getting regularized freely? Does anyone have any answer to that? 5 candidates getting regularized.
Mane,
Yeah.
the 5 people were in the list.
No, there is no. It says 5 people getting recruited and getting regularized. Getting recruited as a contract worker.
That is the level of corruption in our state. Na. The more lawmakers, minister, MLA, you blame the level in corruption, the rules to tani, they make the rule, they don't follow the rule. kita tu sabi nijor la ina opore face kuna tu mana nijor la face take gire ni sida jetam. Really, but we have to give an end to this. Nah? We have to know how to raise our voice.
So one thing that there are 5 candidates whose names have not been revealed. Yeah, that's a news that we have also heard. You know, so we filed the RTI again recently, but even in that RTI, those names have not come out. You know, so it's a very suspicious matter. Yeah, but we're going to press forward on that.
Thank you. And second question is, after so many years of attaining statehood, why there is rampant corruption in Nagaland? Those sitting ministers and MLAs are well educated about unemployment scenario and are well-spoken people in public. Are they hypocrites? Are they deliberately doing it?
Yeah. Let us accept the fact that we are also a very, very young society who doesn't know how to handle the situation. That is why, to start something new, we wanted to have a dialogue with the government officials, those policymakers. Because this system, for this, you see, we cannot point at one person. We have reached a point where we cannot say that I am not guilty just because I am not there in a government office. We are also all guilty. Today, if they come and have a good discussion, then maybe we would have learned a lot from them. Yes, no doubt, so much of corruption, and then this has been normalized, not since yesterday or today, since many, many years ago. No? So, we will start putting things right by righting the wrong. Aru itu issue there, in this issue, where we went, I think we will go to the bottom of it. At least one case. There, now, many a time, we have fought many beautiful battles, and after achieving certain things, we go and then we start to whisper in a closed door with the bureaucrats, and with that, the matter ends. But this should not happen. We will go till the end, to the bottom. Then only, I think, we can really bring a change.
Thank you. And the next question is, the education minister is not qualified enough to be the education minister, and with all hopes lost from the NBSC to bring any justice, can Nagaland University, the only central university, intervene in any way? I think Professor Chititong would be the right person to answer this.
Now, the university has a mandate. Every central university is autonomous. All universities are supposed to be autonomous, but central universities have full autonomy, except those, Delhi and those places, they have their problems with the government. So we recruit, not we, I'm a retired man. The Nagaland University recruits its own faculties and own staff. It's not given, the UPSC does not conduct any interviews, except for the union territories. But I don't think the university will have a mandate to conduct interviews for or intervene in this matter. But see, because I'm here, I was here in the Nagaland University for the last 28 years, the NPSC never invited me for any work. And then many of my friends also say, what's the NPSC doing? They don't want our services. No, but it's up to them, because they have an agenda. So, I don't know. I don't think the university can intervene in any way, because that's totally autonomous. This is Nagaland government. But we can discuss this, see if anything is happening. Because one good thing is that for this NIMSA, the medical college in Kohima, because that medical college is affiliated to the Nagaland University, I was deputed as a member of the interview board. So there we ensured that everything is very clean. Only the best got in. But if the government puts it into the policy for the Public Service Commission that there should be a nominee from the Nagaland University, that is one way. So one good member from the Nagaland University can clean up, will not permit open corruption.
Thanks. Next question is, could AI conducted interviews be a game changer? It might offer benefits like reduced bias, standard evaluation, and increased efficiency. Has anyone ever used AI? No. I think I regularly use AI, so maybe I can just share a few thoughts. AI, when it's not handled by human, AI cannot do the work alone. So the subjectivity of this, subjective interpretation of the AI information will, at the end of the day, come down to human hands again. So I think that's a system we all are fighting for. So AI cannot do the things alone, right? And it's not, I think our our officials who are part of the recruitment, it's not that they cannot carry out objective analysis of or evaluation. It's just that there is an influence from somewhere or the other. So at the end of the day, that cannot be delivered. I think everyone is well qualified, I believe. It's just that there are forces that are not allowing people to be objective at this stage, at this point of time. But AI can help for sure, but to what extent without human interference? And politics is all about human beings. And AI cannot just come and conquer us and do the things. I mean, that will be my opinion, right? You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely, maybe not AI, but we have been discussing about the interviews that are conducted, maybe they can be aired, they can be shown to the public how the interview goes in order to maintain some accountability and transparency, Maybe we could use technology that way.
Thank you. There's one more question. Should not the API score academic performance indicator as per UCC be included as one of the key evaluation criteria in fair recruitment processes? Does anyone can take up the question? API.
This API is for promotion of teachers. I don't think it should come into the recruitment process.
Okay.
Acha, I skipped one bit, the first question of the last question, the qualification of the Minister for Higher Education, Mr. Imna Long. In fact, I was, especially when I heard our GB, Mr. Kauto Chishi was in Kohima with all of you during your protest, I wished even I were there. But I was bedridden. But then I thought maybe I should also, maybe contribute to society by penning an article. So there in my article, probably it was the second article, there I had mentioned that the government should replace the minister by a highly qualified person. A qualified person should come as Minister for Higher Education. We're dealing with higher education. We cannot afford to have somebody without any qualifications come and guide the department. We look at some foreign countries like New Zealand, Australia, and some places. The health minister is a doctor. The education minister is a retired or a professor. So see, we have these kind of people who run their countries. That's why their countries are so successful. If we go by whims and fancies and by party pressure, Nagaland will collapse. But at least let's not allow higher education to collapse. All of you, Mr. Kahoto has already assured you of his support. You have support of the KTB. And maybe I'll also join the fray. We can gather a lot of people who can support you. We will support you. But we need to see you stand up first.
Next question. Why does this corruption occur? Article 32, Constitutional Remedies. Suomoto. I mean, I'm sure the question is like, why can't the court take this as a suo motu case, right? So maybe, yeah, GP Gautama.
See, in life, it's all a question of accountability. Okay? So India has become so corrupt because there is no accountability. It is not Nagaland alone. See, in China, you may insult China as much as you want. You may talk bad about it, but when they catch government officials, corrupt government officials, they shoot them. But here in India, you see the corrupt are enjoying life. So the Nagas, I keep saying this, Nagas have learned the worst of the Indians, but nothing, because they have very good aspects of Indians also, but none of them good. Okay, traffic rules also we don't follow. Look at Mizoram. Look at Nagaland, especially Dimapur. Look at as we said earlier, churches also only offices. Everybody wants to build houses. Are underground factions. I am the first and only person who has called them financial freedom fighters. Yes, it's in my articles, no? I came across one Facebook YouTube video of a beautiful place somewhere in Mon district, okay? You have all these lakes and islands sort of thing, and then in the comments somebody, the owner is the leader of some underground faction. Our church leaders also. One person was telling me about their pastor demanding a Scorpio. I said, hey, you're still behind us. We have moved to Innovas. Huh? No, this has become our way of life because there's no accountability. We have become hypocrites because nobody calls them out. In my last interview with Mr. Lung Len, we talked about people having issue with the way I say things. Well, I call them out. I call them thieves to their face. When I was on Northeast Live, Mr. Wasbir Hussain was very upset because I said Rio's a liar. No, but unless we call these people out, they will be hypocrites. They will think that they're getting away with it. But when you call them out, shame is a very powerful human emotion. You have to shame them into doing good things if you cannot punish them. So Indian law is very lax, but at least we can shame them. Now, I keep trying to tell the theologians that accept money from any source. It's okay. Whether he's a drug peddler or a bootlegger, a prostitute, a thief, accept his money. But don't give him importance in the church. Now, when you start giving importance to people who donate the most, not on their character, then you're supporting corruption. So things like this, no? Accountability, and where there's no accountability, we have to shame them. That's my take. This is why corruption is so prevalent, not only in Nagaland, but across India.
Thank you. The next question is, such movements, is it properly nurturing the idea of an individual/citizen? And how far have we come as an individual? Yeah, this is a little vague question actually. Such movements, is it properly nurturing the idea of an individual/citizen? Is the movement properly nurturing the idea of an individual? And how far have we come as an individual? So I think, come as an individual. I cannot explain further because I'm reading out the word. Right. Maybe we can think about it and we'll jump to the next question. Where is the place of truth and justice in Nagaland, which is Naga society? As concerned citizens, what can we do? Or our responsibility is to mitigate corruption in Nagaland. Third question is, how can we make our democratic institutions more accountable on the questions of accountability? So the first question, where is the place of truth and justice in Nagaland? Someone can take that and I'll repeat the next question. Yeah, please go ahead. That's an earlier
I
question.
think by such movements, I think you mean the movement that we are currently eating, no? Such movements, no? Are they properly nurturing the idea of an individual citizen? Yes. Because it is teaching us the duties of an individual or a citizen. As an individual, as a citizen, it is your duty to stand up in a fight for justice. Nothing comes free in life. You have to fight for it or you will lose it. So that is one. And then how far have we come as an individual? No, see here too, we have not progressed as individuals or as a society. But we're just starting.
Thank you. We are about to wind up. A few more questions, and there will be refreshments outside. So no worry about sitting here for long. Okay. Where is the?
Can I intervene?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. They will be serving the refreshments as we.
Oh, right now. Okay. I'm sorry. So yeah, refreshment will be served right now as we have this conversation. Where is the place of truth and justice in Nagaland? I think I'm going to get to. You can think. Where is the place of truth and justice in Nagaland?
I think some very interesting, very important question, bringing down to the individual, something about individual, where is justice, and something like that. I feel this, the reason why Gandhi's revolution shook the world, and it continues very deeply, more and more deeply all across the world. Rejected violently, but also in other groups. I think because he was the one who said, be the change you want to see in the world. Which we know it, but go into it. Be the change you want to see in the world. Some of these questions touch that. And he said, a European journalist, during the very busy days of the freedom struggle, Gandhi was busy the whole day, and he was asked by a journalist who wanted to file his report back to his paper for that day. So he came to Gandhi and said, Gandhiji, what is your message? Gandhiji said, my life is my message. Then the journalist was stunned. He said, well, what is the message of my life? He started to think. And I feel that, you see, it has to be brought down to each one of us. Otherwise, I'm afraid it dries out. I was personally inspired to start the change that I want to see in my life because of a number of friends' examples. There was a very talented, famous church organist. He was Fraser. He was in a church in Edinburgh, Scotland. And he played the huge organ in the church. And he said, when he faced this question, be the change you want to see in the world, for him, as he asked God, where does it start with me? It's a simple thought. Every time the collection was taken by the church during the offering, they would come to the priest there, and it was always put near on his organ. George Fraser said, very often he held himself to that into his pocket. Nobody knew it. He was playing beautiful organs and praising the Lord. Hallelujah. So for him, be the change started with telling the church, the whole church, the bishop, priest, and the church, sorry, I am a musician playing beautiful music, but this is what I've been doing, I'm sorry. And he returned the money to the church. I was very challenged by that. I think something more that like that is needed in the church and in Christians like me and you. And then there was a friend with whom I work. For him, it meant, he said, he traveled Bombay buses regularly and train station, and he didn't feel he need to pay for the tickets because he could do it. And after all, he was not a rich man, and the society was exploitative and unjust people and so on. For him, be the change meant working out a rough, generous calculation and say go to the bus, BEST Bombay, the managing director, and the Bombay Railways, those, a lot of times, and just say that this is a very humble beginning, but this is what I've been doing. I'm against corruption in India, and society became too bad. But I have been told by the inner voice, my creator, that I should do this. Now, a very small thing. But for him, that was be the change, the beginning. Now, I'm talking about the beginning. And these things challenged me so much that I was trying to do that. So for me, it was to just spend enough time early in the morning, read my Bible, pray. I always said, God, do this because you are after God. After all, you are God. Do this for me, for my family, my clan, my village, etc., etc. But I never asked God, do you have anything to say back to me? Because I said, I'm such an ordinary fellow, I can't make any change in me could affect society. But the thought that because he had created me in his own image, I should claim responsibility with all my smallness, limitations, and say, do you have anything to say to me? Against all these stories I've told from friends, I really tried to find out. And I wrote them down. I had to be completely honest with my father because I was in Madras University, Madras Christian College. He sent me there, our family sent me there with great sacrifice, they couldn't afford. But they sent me to this very good college, and I was cheating him every month by sending him a beautiful account, monthly account. My father thought I was better than all the other sons. So for me to tell him all those things and the things I was doing that I was ashamed of, really ashamed of. For me, it was be the change. My father wrote back, he was in Nagong Central Jail at that time as a political prisoner. Because anyway, so he was not, after he retired as a doctor. So he wrote back to me and said, my son, thank you for your courage and honesty. I was very moved that he thought I was courageous and honest. And he went on to say that your letter, your honesty with me has made me see how I have treated your mother. I promise I will treat her differently. I never thought that was going to happen. I was telling only my father, be the change, what it meant. But that resulted in a change in my family. I said, this I'm seeing the roadmap I should follow if I want to give anything to Nagaland that I love. So I feel that I want to propose one thing. I'm talking a bit long, but I want to propose one thing because I'm so stirred by what we are experiencing today. Could this movement have at its core the story, the narrative of people who are fighting for justice, a corrupt-free society, by putting things right, as Robert said. Some beginning of instances and never giving it up. One example I was proposed. I don't know whether this is still an issue or not, but in my time anyway, and some while ago, central government scholarship. I'm told that there is a stipulation that students whose parents' income is above this amount, they are not entitled. No matter we are tribal or not tribal, or scheduled caste or not. I think that is we have to respect. We have to respect that. And if a group will decide, for the sake of building strength, giving strength to this movement at its roots, which will get our society to say, well, this is deeply rooted, and it is going to grow. Just the beginning, but it's going to grow. Can some will get together, maybe a few of you, and then just develop it, maybe a number of you, and say that we, because our parents' income or our family income is above this, we have received scholarship and used it. We are repaying the amount, even in installment, to the government. If the government will not accept, bring it to this movement to finance its struggle, and say that we are sorry we have done this because we are against corruption and we want to start like this. Friends, if, this thing, that little thing that I said, the little step I took, it did not change Naga society or the world. But, it cut my pride. It touched my selfishness. I decided to declare quick notice to selfishness. Very selfish man. I said, that will be my battle. No, draw a battle line like that. It did not change society, it will not change society the way we want. But I understood the meaning of the eternal battle between good and evil, which Solzhenitsyn said goes right to the heart of every person. For me, without that restitution, which cut my pride and my selfishness and all my habits, I tell you, I would have died long ago. I'm quite sure of that. But forgive me if I'm saying something too personal. But I would like to suggest that as part of this movement. Our society will say, my God, here is Christianity. This is what the church will be. Now my concluding points. I feel that definitely for Baptists and probably the evangelical revival churches. I don't know about the Catholics, Robert. I think our definition of the kingdom of God, is defective. It is an unexamined definition. I think we tend to, because that's how it has been taught us. The kingdom of God is up there when we are buried 6 feet down or so, and we go to heaven, where everything will be picnic every day. No electricity problem, no road problem, no car problem, nothing. That kind of a thing. Frankly, it comes down to something like that, vaguely. None of you is as simple as that, but I think something vaguely like that. Oh, well, that's the kingdom of God. Whereas Jesus came down to this world, as he says in the Lord's Prayer, "Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven." I think that definition, if we get that really studied, it'll transform Nagaland in no time. The state will be run properly because that will be using the state to build a just society on earth, where justice, fairness is demonstrated. Now, I've spoken a long time, but if anyone's interested, I am interested in taking forward with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now the next question, this is also a very critical question. As a government employee, witnessing backdoor appointments within the department, how can one fight against it without risking their job? This will be the final litmus test.
Robert, question, please.
Okay, as an employee of a government department, the government in certain department, because it's very difficult to read. So how can one fight against it without risking the job, without risking losing the job?
अच्छा see, mala style work with Urese. For us to, if you know that there is some, see, what you're saying is, if you're a government servant, you know something is wrong in your department, and since you've been a government employee, if you cannot openly raise your voice against it, what I would like to request is, you provide the details, the information to us. We make sure that your name will never be made public. We have done in so many departments, and so far we have never disclosed the name of the people who give information. That way we can at least clean the corruption a little bit. Don't be afraid to do it, go, Mano.
For me, personally, I would like to encourage all the government employees also to come together. When you come as a collective, I think you will not be targeted. Many of them are afraid of being targeted. Even with regard to the movement, you know, how far we have to come as a movement, you know, the involvement of people, it becomes really difficult, you know. There are just few people running and doing the job, and some people, they like to stay, you know, behind, you know, so that it has been a problem, even in the movement. So with regard to the government employees, as well as NNQF members or CTAN members, I think when we come as a collective, that way, you know, you can stand up for yourself, you're standing for others as well. So instead of, you can either go for a mission loss approach or also come as a collective, you know. So the movement will go if you come as a collective.
Thank you. I would encourage all of you to read up how whistleblowers risk their life to whistleblow the crimes committed by the government around the country, and you'll be inspired, I believe. There's a next question. Since the findings of High Power Committee is still vague and unknown to public brain, what will be our next move and when will it be? Here's one stern supporter. Since the report of the High Power Committee is still vague and unknown to the public, what will be the next step and when this next step will be?
Yeah, about that, the report of the High-Powered Committee, we are told that it has reached the cabinet, and there is something is there. That is why they are not able to still disclose it to us. And simply on our presumption, you cannot judge. My point is that, okay, whether they will go for requisition or not, but even if it goes, what will be our next step? That is what I think we need to discuss. Now, even if it is positive, even if it is in our favor, what will be our next step? And then how do we go to the bottom of this issue?
The next step that we have, one thing that you can do today is sign the petition that we're sending to the Chief Minister with regard to the mark weightage and transparency of the CAC. And another thing that we want to do is to discuss the next step today, so you can put out your opinions later.
Next question is, I think it's repeated, but let me just read out. Why different CSOs in Nagaland fall to the sweet, empty assurance of government of Nagaland? Why do the CSO fall prey to the sweet, empty assurance of government of Nagaland? I feel like that has been addressed from the beginning, right, many times. So next question will jump. Whom should be held responsible for the current situation involving 147 backdoor appointment, the politician or the people of Nagaland? After all, it is the people who elected these leaders in power. Yeah, please.
This is a political question. I would have preferred Mr. Kahuto Chishi to address it. But he's not here, so let me take his. See, we have not elected most of them. Elections are very dirty. Mr. Kahuto Chishi contested, he lost. And then somewhere during this agitation, during the protest, somebody were praising Mr. Kahuto Chishi, Mr. KK Sema, and another person, that they are the true leaders of Naga society. Then why were they not elected? We did not elect them. We allowed manipulators to come in. So I think we have nothing to say here. But a struggle is not an individual problem. It's a societal problem. We all have to be united. And if things don't happen this time, another protest. Continue the protest. We definitely see the results. You have made a major breakthrough. Another one is not impossible.
Will there be anyone before we conclude who would like to just grab the mic and ask questions? I think, let's get used to asking questions directly. Mic, please, the wireless cord, here, cordless mic here.
Hello. The esteemed panelists, I'm Madeline Yumbrusha, a journalist with East Mojo. I was just speaking to ask a question. My question goes out to Professor Tong and Uncle Nikitu. A common question for you both, because I wanted to know from the perspective of a former government employee, from you, Professor Tong, and Uncle Nikitu, from you as a peace activist. Our society is one as such where the public, their trust in the government is very fragile. So taking the opportunity of such movements, such youth-led movements like this, how can this be an opportunity to build that trust with the government for a fair governance? That's what I wanted to know.
Let me take the first chance. Can you kind of repeat in my brain? Somehow I must have got something else out of it. But as an employee, as a former government employee, I took things in my hands. There were times when I took things in my hands. I was posted in Lumami for 3 years. I filed a number of RTIs on my own vice chancellor. So it's no big deal. But I knew they could not touch me, because my records are clean and my service is confirmed. They cannot just terminate me. They tried. So it's no big deal. But like what our CTAN and NNQF officials have said, if there's some people who have problems, they can bring the problems to them. They will ensure that their names are not leaked out. I think I got a gist of that. I'm not very sure of your question.
The public's faith in the government and for fair governance?
For fair governance, by not remaining silent. You see, our government is very corrupt. It's very filthy. Our system, maybe this is one of the most corrupt governments in India. So the question of having faith in the government doesn't arise. But, Acha, the government can, but I don't know if the government will take this opportunity to build good relations, help us build faith. I don't think it will happen. Till we protest, till we clean out the system. And you have already cleaned out a portion of the system. There was the 147, but the fight is still there. Otherwise, I don't see any hope. Maybe Mr. Kahoto can share something.
I think you said because our people's faith, trust in God is weak. Yeah, I hope I've understood your question. I think all of us are like that. Even, I think Jesus said, blessed are the poor in spirit. And I think our weak trust grows when we learn to obey in trust. Do this, do it in trust, because it is right. Don't do it because we see it is wrong. Now that's a very difficult thing to do. And even the smallest step you take because it is right. So, but when you obey, you grow. Another way. You can become if you don't obey, you can become a very smart rationalist, but you're not growing. In the sense that you should, the total growth. And this thing about Jesus saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, for me, when I was really trying to sort things out in my life, I said, my God, what a wonderful thing he said. I never took notice of it. So very often I just knelt on my knees and said, God, I'm trying to do what is right. I'm such a hopeless fellow, but I am hungry for it. I'm hungry for the bread of life, okay? We all know what it is. And thank you for saying that I'm blessed because I am poor in spirit. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The just society will come out of that kind of obedience. I believe that obedience is the key to the changes everything. Otherwise, we will go through life learning to rationalize, explain away, and we are in due course dead in our soul and conscience. You know, my wife once told me after we were married for about 8 or 9 years, she said, you've been trying to be good for so many years that you have become quite good. But I find so difficult living with your refined temper and your very clever ways of telling lies. I was shattered, and she was in tears. She said, I try to point out where I, as your wife, feel unhappy, you're wrong. You're trying to exaggerate, or you're trying to give a spin for your own advantage or something. You're not doing very big bad things. Because your message is to change the world, look at me, the change. But when I cannot point it out to you, because you are so aggressive in the way you answer me. And your argument is so well worked out by now. Your lies are so well developed. I don't know how to do it. I didn't know you were like this when I said yes to you. I just stood there, not knowing what to say. So after some time I said, I don't know what to say, but please don't be controlled by my bad temper anymore. Tell me whenever you see anything that is smelling, you feel unhappy in your soul. You don't like it. I will never like it because I'm such a man born from whom Christ died, okay? So I'll never be happy, but I'll keep quiet and just say, I hate it, but thank you for correcting me, and I won't say anything more than that. But if in the next 3-4 days I see there is a point that I am meant to clarify, I'll do so. Otherwise, accept her correction as very important for my nature, my character. Now, I'm saying that kind of thing, if we can bring into our operation, I think the trust that we are feeling is weak will be just strong enough every moment for the task we are meant to do, to be the change you want to see. For that moment, we may not be a Gandhi or somebody, St. Francis, but you will be fighting the right battle, which will give hope to other people. I think if we see that in the lives of people, our politicians, our bureaucrats, they will find hope. Because many of them don't want to be like that, but they feel that's the only way to go ahead because we have to win the next election. Our government and the elections have become to finance the next election. You know what it is. Election costs are rising everywhere, and how much, that's how a lot of money is going there. Anyway, that's long answer.
Hello, yes. I think is there anyone who wants to ask a question? Yeah, please, here we have a lady.
Hello, yeah. I am Kekri from Hornbill TV, and we've also been covering for the assistant professors at CTAN and NNQF. I have one question. When you were speaking about court, going to the court as well, one statement by the convener, the president of CTAN, was that financial constraints, because of the financial constraints, you may not be able to take it to court. However, when the previous time, I think you also mentioned about fighting a lot of corruption, even in other departments as well. So do you think it will be practical to fight against corruption in other departments as well without being able to take it to the court? Do you think you will be able to find justice just like you did this time? Obviously, the requisition is still impending. However, in the long run, without going to court or with financial constraints, do you think it will be practical to fight for justice, especially for the youth?
It is through representations, memorandums, protests, we were able to bring about NSSB, Nagaland Staff Selection Board, Lokayukta, reduction of interview marks. Now, earlier, the NPC does not give the marks after the result, but now after pressuring them, now they give the marks of the individual one. Supposing if I appear exam, I can write to the NPC, I can see my marks, my individual marks, of course not the others. So all those are achieved through representations, agitations and all. Or we were able to terminate backdoor appointments in many of the departments. Still there are some pending. We have given some deadline to some departments, which we will be mentioning whenever required, but I won't say the name of the department today because tonight they may become restless. So, and when it comes to court case, of course, maybe there may be some cases where we need to go to court. But as far as the CTAN is concerned, we have never gone to court because we believe in democracy now. Our court keep bisas na kuya to kono we true democratically corruption a lot to hataw pare. That's what we believe, and that is the way we deal with the corruption in Nagaland?
Maybe we can take one last question. Oh yeah. Do we have any? Just next to you. Strong communication gap.
Thank you for the organizers for putting on such a wonderful discussion. I think throughout the period of the past couple of hours, we've really spoken about the failure of a lot of our institutions, especially in terms of corruption. But I was wondering, what are some shining beacons of hope in institutions that you see that work with integrity and honor that the young people can look up to? I'll repeat that one more time. So we've discussed a lot about the failures of our institutions, whether it be civil or government. We even mentioned church, right? But in your opinion, what are some shining examples of our institutions that work with integrity and honor that the young people can look up to?
That's a very relevant question, but I see no such institution. No. See, people always say that I'm always negative, I always criticize. I always ask them, so show me an example. Huh? So now it is for you to build up institutions and organizations which people can trust. No, it's a fact. So there's the simple, short answer.
I think my knowledge is very limited, but I think the music, the government is giving support to the music explosion in Nagaland. I think that is true. And with all Nagas, I think it is something that is giving a positive image about the Nagas and a feeling inside the Nagas. I don't know whether that is true or not, correct or not.
I think instead of a particular institution or a person, no, I think we have the tendency to look up to a person as a hero and institution to look up to. The one thing that we can focus on right now is the collective consciousness, building collective consciousness. No? I think that is what is going to change institutions. We cannot find any particular institution right now. Collective consciousness, yeah.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would not like to go home without asking one question? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Longland. And it's a pleasure to be with you all today. My name is Vimeza. I'm from VMZ Naga Podcast. My question to our honorable speakers on the dais is, do you think, hand in hand with our Naga Mothers Association and the Naga Students Federation, living our differences aside, do you think a movement with them together can take us closer to our goal? Because our civil society should not just focus on Naga national movement. Naga Mothers Association do khali underground khalanga ma asnegi engineer doctor kura khalanga ma nohe student khalanga ma bo nohe. So I think do you think a movement with our civil society will help us achieve our goal? Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for the question. To club with them, I think there is no question of clubbing. Once they do the right thing, then we also will join them and then we will become their followers. No? If they do the right thing. The reason why these two organizations, because the apex body, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. No, once they do the right thing, then we also can dissolve even these two organizations and join them. No? And but our apex bodies, I'm sorry to say this, but you know, yeah, you can call me Mr. Negative. Today I'm very negative, but I cannot understand. You see, the undergrounds, they are praying and fasting. No, the churches, they are catching alcohol as well. No, they have. Then the students' union, they are fighting for our freedom, our freedom. No, then, I mean, had the students' union they fight they fought for our students, then definitely we are going to support them. We are going to work with them. But if they are to say that, okay, our constitution is like this, we also will address this and that, and then ignore the very basic things which they need to do, then we cannot work with them. So let it be. And then even NMA also, if they are to address this issue seriously, then we are their followers. We will work with them.
You have got answers to all your questions. We have sat here for quite a long time, and I truly appreciate your patience. Sure.
I forgot one name. When I talked of Mr. K.K. Sema, Mr. Kahoto Chishi, even Engineer Meshano had protested. But on social media, they were praised as our heroes. But we did not vote for justice. I forgot his name, so just for
When election was, those things were going on, one of his own very close to, the one who is very close to him said, I want Kahuto in the assembly because he is going to bark like a mad dog. Then I said, no, he's going to roar like a lion. Even if everyone goes away, Kahuto, he will just sit alone and then he will just keep on fighting and speaking the truth and fight for us. That is what that was my response to him. And then even a person like Engineer Meshenlo, you know, if one of them enters the assembly, then they are going to make a very big difference and then they are going to be the biggest thorn in the flesh of our other politicians.
Yeah, I feel I should say a word. You mentioned Naga Mothers Association, because I worked with them when they set up the Mount Gilead home many years ago, 1989. And to say that they are very, very burdened women because you have to run the whole family, and they have very little time. They are stretched beyond their capacity to carry things, not public issues, big things they take up, but the family burdens are so great because the children are going through very difficult questions, facing very difficult questions. A lot of the husband, I think it's fair to say, not do it properly, their jobs. So they have had to fight on issues that are very big, but they have made a mark on our people's imagination as mothers. And so I want to say that they should be understood and appreciated for the role they have played, and they will, anything that goes wrong directly, they'll take it up. But they are very overburdened people, members of our society. Thank you.
Thank you. It has been a very enriching interaction, and I'm sure all of you are benefited in one way or the other. And we walk away with some conviction in our life that maybe I may be alone, but it's when the time comes, it's always good to stand up for ourselves. And when you stand up, there's a ripple effect, and it touches everyone's heart. And I think that's how the movement begins, and that's where you all are. So truly appreciate it. And I know it's not easy to sit and listen, and those who talk want to keep talking and talking, keep repeating the same thing. So thanks for your patience and for sitting for more than 2 hours with us. And for a concluding remark, I would like to request Uncle Niketu, just a quick thought as one of the as the eldest in the panelists, to leave us with a quick thought for the movement forward and encouragement. Thank you.
Well, I've talked so much that I feel that somebody raised the matter, what about the individual? It comes down to what you as individual, I as individual, how far I will obey the sense that something has to be done and say that somebody else will do it. No matter who you are, if you say what should be done at my level, in my situation, I will fight like hell. The Russian writer, Nobel laureate Alexander Solzhenitsyn, in his acceptance speech of the Nobel Prize for Literature, he couldn't go to Sweden. His speech was smuggled out and it became viral all over the world. And in that, in his speech, he said, "The lie may come into the world and even dominate it, but not through me. The lie may come into the world and even dominate it, but not through me." And he said, sometimes you may find that there's just one step where you're standing, and everything else is gone, corrupted and everything, like Soviet Union at that time. But you say that where I'm standing, that is under my control, my responsibility, not through me. Then it begins the crack of the avalanche. The big things will crack. But if you do not say that somebody else should do what should be done. Thank you very much.
Now, audience, it's your turn. Our panelists, we're done. Now it's time for suggestions from audience, like for any suggestions or any feedback on how to go about the upcoming upcoming steps. So this is a request from the organizers that feel free to share if you have any suggestions, any feedback on how you would like to suggest for this movement to take forward. One thing we Nagas must change is we need to learn to speak. We learn to comment on social media as much as we need to learn to speak.
Good afternoon. It is not a suggestion or a feedback or a comment, but I have one question. From today's public dialogue, we all, I think, agree on the fact that the system is the problem. There is no transparency, we don't have the trust, we don't have our trust either in the government or in any of the so-called civil societies, maybe for lack of credibility, or the credibility or for the lack of credibility. All of us also agree, I think, unanimously that this public dialogue on 147, this issue of 147, which has been courageously undertaken by CTAN and NNQF, is not just a movement which is fighting against the 147 regularization. But people view this movement as a larger movement where we see a glimmer of hope in bringing changes in the society, in the government, in the civil organizations, and also in the church. With everything being said and done, my question is, moving forward, is this association between the CTAN and the NNQF going to be confined to just this issue of the 147? Or is it going to be a part of a larger movement where a lot of people have reposed their faith in you, keeping in mind the credibility and the caliber with which you have been leading this movement? So my question is, just at a juncture when the Naga youths, particularly the young people, when they see a glimmer of hope, of transparency, of meritocracy, and of fair recruitment and true open competition, when they are reposing their faith in you, once we get to the question of the 147, whether it is sent for requisition or it takes a lot of time, or it is not sent. But what about the future of this movement, which you have started? So this question I would like to put up to our two very esteemed leaders, Engineer Meshanlo and Dr. Videkono. And I believe that this can be start of, it is already starting a very big chain reaction. And I truly feel that it should not be just confined to this 147. If we truly want to see change in our society, then like it has been said, we need to be the change we want to see in our society. But in order to do that, we also need someone to guide us. And I think CTAN and NNQF has been doing a fantastic job in doing that. And so moving forward, I would like to know your plans for the youth of our state. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Sir, see, what we do is we have taken up issues in many departments. I should say this is not the first time we have taken up issues. So after this issue also, there are some departments where we have filed RTI, or there are some departments where we have given them a deadline of 30 days, which did not come out in public. So I have said this in some of the places also. If we are only very confined with this department, people may think that I'm having some grudges, or our leaders are having some grudges against the department officials or against the ministers. This is what we have been doing since the beginning, and we will continue to do this. There are so many pending issues, like we have issues in social welfare, legal metrology. I'm talking about the departments where we are taking up the issues. Health and Family Welfare Department is there. And taking this platform, I would like to remind the Naga Hospital Authority also. Now see, the other day also, when regarding this 147, I'm mentally being so much disturbed, okay, honestly saying. Naga people are so lazy, I just want to say, since they have my number, they think that I'm also very free like them. But if unnecessary, they will give me. Now I love to take suggestions. Okay, out of topic, I'm also an individual. I'm a human. I have only one brain. Manu you don't expect me to act like a machine, na? I'm 24 hours active. Kita tu mau time tu, why only this department? Why not checking this? Why I will Instagram la text tu pure khatam na ho. Na honestly to mo giwa look to moram gui tu kuli mona je. We are also doing our best to mane at least clean up itu department and later hando phika uli mona su. Aro mo ita ko tamde pahuri jisi saro. एक दिन भी याते ठीक नागा हॉस्पिटल दे ना ओकी हॉस्पिटल दे लोग पैसे मानो जो मांग खुशी बार अपने हम बाल काम कर सकते ना कुछ क्यों उसी ले तला बाबा के ओकी हॉस्पिटल है जैसे असल तो ताई तो he is admitted in Naga hospital, okay? But why is he bringing his father to Oking hospital? Because there is no CT scan down there. बुझिए ना? CT scan, or the excuse that the Naga hospital authority is giving is saman chor hoye bujhe. Saman chor ho gane CT scan 2-3 years diya hua is. Now what we are trying to say, the name itself, Combined Technical Association of Nagaland Ase. Actually we are to be confined only with technical. We deal with any department which is not functioning properly. Or if necessary, Naga hospital give a look in Takilidu. Check kuru. And what I heard is ICU la dam do private khan hospital and give it tamase. Kile. They have given it to some private individuals. ICU government la dui cheap hole again hoye. See, that is happening in our state. Out of emotion kutapishi kujay huli inaga cases can be, we will continue to take up kuna jari desi. Thank you.
I would also like to respond to that. As a team, we have been a very good team working together, NNQF CTAN, and I thank you for reminding us that, that we have the public support. As long as we have the public support, we will take up issues, particularly with this public dialogue. If this is successful, maybe in the next we will take up another issue to discuss, but for other issues, there are certain issues that CTAN handles differently and NNQF handles differently. If they invite us to collaborate with them, we will surely do that, and we will also, maybe there are issues where we will ask them to collaborate. So it will depend on that, but say this public dialogue, maybe we will continue to take it forward for other issues as well.
Small project like in Unity Gate in Kitima. It is written, "Welcome to Hills of Nagaland." It's written only to hills. They didn't even put there. So it reflects our government that they are not serious, even from this smallest step. So big projects like not setting up forensic lab or building high court, all these have been coming up and it's been neglected, especially by the government. So what should we as a society do, and what like the measures should we do? That's my question. Thank you.
I think it goes back to what I said originally and what Engineer Mission Lord said right now. There are so many issues, and we cannot always hope that somebody else will take it up. So we have to stand up with anyone who takes up any issue. Okay, when this 147, when we were agitating, one YouTuber from one district, he called me up and he said, it is only for 147 people, whereas my issues are for villages across Nagaland. So in one way, he had a valid point. So this we must understand, if we are to change society, the change begins with you. You have to stand up. And we need a total rebuild of all our institutions. Like government institutions, we cannot change. But when we change the civil institutions, like the churches, our civil societies, then it affects the government institutions. So we are seeing this corruption everywhere. Jal Jeevan Mission. How many villages have drinking water? It's only names. Everything else is only names. So it's good that you brought up even the signboard. No? Even maybe they're selling money, paint, for 1 or 2 letters. You don't know. Outside my house also, they came, and our mentality. The road was being built and they wanted to build the drainage, but my neighbors, they refused. See, we want to live in cities, we want to live in the middle of the towns, but we don't have the civic sense to allow drainage. And the major cause of the bad roads in Nagaland is lack of drainage. So things like that. No, we cannot always blame the government. Of course, I blame the government because they are not proactive. But again, a vast part of the blame lies with us. See, I was called up 2 years back by one of our national media houses. They wanted to do a hit piece on Mr. Rio. So I talk bad about him, but I don't blame him for the mess we are in. He is part of the problem, but he's not the sole cause. We are also part of the problem. So I told him, no. Corruption in Nagaland is endemic. It is not the CM's fault. The fault lies with all of us, starting with the villages. I keep emphasizing that. Corruption starts in the villages. So we have to understand that. All of us are responsible for the corruption we are facing. So I hope that answers your thing.
Yeah, we have spent quite a lot of time here. I think the questions and our thoughts and reactions would never end. Let's continue the conversation. Let's continue the discourse. We're gathering here just to be able to speak to each other. Otherwise, thanks to internet, we have powerful social media platforms. We can always carry our conversation there and engage with one another for the betterment of our society. And I would like to now, give time to the organizer to say something like maybe a vote of thanks. Yeah, a vote of thanks